Today, let's talk about the law of attraction. So, I got a really neat experience with this. I had read about it. I had read about it in the Success Principles, and I'd read maybe some other smaller books on the law of attraction. I thought, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I started to understand the reticular activating system inside of your brain, like being more intentional, setting goals, dreaming, having a dream, realizing, writing down your vision, determining what it is that you truly want. And then once you do that, your brain begins to, it's filtering stuff nonstop. So there are 11 million bits at any given moment that your mind is filtering. So when you become intentional about something that you actually want and you put your focus on that, it allows the filter veil to lift. So now something that was maybe always there, or you weren't aware of it before, now it comes into your awareness. That's because our brains are goal-seeking achievement organisms. So when we put that intention into our conscious brain and we repeat it enough, it seeps down into the subconscious mind. Then anytime new opportunities or new doors show up, or something arises, like, I do believe that because you are intentional and you're focused on something, that the veil lifts, and now these things become into your awareness, where they may have always been there before, but you could not see them because your brain is too busy filtering out a lot of stuff. So I believed in law of attraction in that sense. And I still believe in that sense, right? It wasn't until I read Think and Grow Rich and started to learn about what Napoleon Hill calls the ether. And he said thoughts are things. Meaning when we think a thought, just the thought alone winds up leaving out into the ether, like the space between here and my phone where I'm recording this, or the space between you and I. It's not empty space. There's stuff there, and he called that stuff the ether. So when we think thoughts, we're putting it out into the world, out into the universe. It goes out, and it is searching for the answer to these things. And I do believe that when you look at thoughts as things, when you have a situation, a problem, a challenge, a solution that you're looking for, or it's just a vision and a dream and a goal and something that you want to achieve in your life, the more intention and focus that you put on those things, and the intentional thought that you have on those, you're sending messages out into the universe. This is why when you're in the shower, you maybe, or you're just driving, and all of a sudden an idea pops into your head. Like, that idea may have always been there, but I do believe that ideas exist in the ether, and they finally find their way back to us, and that's why these ideas just can come out of nowhere. However, so that's my belief on the law of attraction. I do believe it 100%. It works. Like, thoughts are things. And if we continue to think the things that we want, we put our focus on what we want and stop focusing so much time, energy, and attention on the things that we don't want, that you're going to get more of what you actually want. If you continue to focus on and put your time and attention on all the things you don't want, then what happens? You get more of what you don't want. So in that sense, 100% true. This little book right here, it's written by Pam Grout. So Pam Grout, or Grout, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. It's E². 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. This is a really interesting book. These are things that you can literally do. So I'm going to share one of these experiments with you, and I'll share what my experience was with it. So what she says is, I want you to think of something real quickly that you want to happen. It has to be believable that you can accomplish it in the next 48 hours, or it will happen in the next 48 hours, right? That's it. It's simple. It's like, what do you want? So I hope that you answered that question. I answered the question when I read it, but I also went to work, and I owned a heating and air conditioning business for many years, and I shared this with a few coworkers. I think 3 coworkers. And I said, I want you to just think of something that you want to happen. And that's it. Just think about it right now, and then let's see what happens. Because we're putting it out there into the ether, into the universe. Thoughts are things. And I did it, and it was just a situation that I wanted to, I won't tell you specifically, but it was a situation that I wanted to have with an interaction with my wife. And that was, for some reason, that was the first thought that came to my mind when I read, think about what you want. It has to be believable, and then just wait. Just wait and see if there's a sign that happens, or see if it actually does come true. And it did. And it did. So this was probably on a Friday when I did this, and it happened before the end of the weekend. So next week, the more I thought about this, I thought, man, more people need to know about this. So I asked one of my CSRs, my customer service representatives, I said, I want you to think about something that you want, that's believable, something that you've just been wanting to happen. And just let me know when you have it. And she's like, I got it. I said, what is it? And she said, I haven't had dinner or lunch with my mom for a while. So I kind of want to get together with my mom to have dinner. It's something that we do, we used to do really regularly, but it's just been a little while. Well, she goes home that night. This was a Wednesday, I remember. It was a Wednesday. She goes home that night. Her fiance at the time comes home from work and says, hey, my dad wants to take us to dinner tonight, right? So we're close, but it wasn't her mom. But I still think the universe, the ether, it can work in weird ways. That's why we just got to be willing to accept different forms of what it is that we actually want. And so they did go out to eat with him that night. And then the next day, nothing happened. But then the next day, so we're still within the 48 hours. Guess what? Her mom calls her. Wants to know if they want to go out to eat or if they want to come over to eat. And she did. And it worked. It happened. So that's one story. The next story, my coworker, one of my technicians, he was wanting to find some speakers for his truck. That was the first thing that popped into his head. He shared it with me. And he's like, I've been looking, but I just can't find something that's in my price range that will actually fit and match my truck. So I said, okay, we put it out there. Let's just see what happens. And within 48 hours, he found and had installed new speakers that he had purchased from an individual in his truck that were a perfect fit. Okay? So if you don't believe it yet, wait for this third one. Another coworker of mine was not getting along with his wife. They were separated. And they have kids. And even though they have kids, they weren't on speaking terms. They were just making the exchange of kids through her sister's house. I think she was staying there. So he said, I'd really like to have a conversation with my wife. She's not talking to me. She's upset. I said, okay, let's just see what happens. This one was a Friday because I know it was the weekend. It was the nearing the end of 48 hours when, guess what? The phone rings on a Sunday evening. It's his wife. And the reason she was calling is because actually her father had passed away. But they wound up having a conversation. And they were not on speaking terms before. So you never know. Not saying the universe did that to her father. I would never imagine that. It's just things have a weird way of working out when you put some intention and you actually just admit to yourself, I would like this to happen. I would like this to happen. One last story with the law of attraction. My credit was bad. My business was growing. we had expanded. We had a lot more team members. We needed a bigger space to operate out of. Because my credit was bad, I didn't think I'd be able to get financing from a bank to help me purchase a building. And I didn't have, $100,000 in cash sitting around. We find a space, we go look at it, and the guy who was offering to rent it, he said, "Why don't you just buy it?" Well, he planted a seed for me. He planted that seed in my mind, and I thought, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if I could just buy it? So I reached out to my banker and said, "Look, I don't know if you guys will be able to help me or not, but I would like to purchase this building." Now, during this is the crazy part. During this, I was envisioning, like, now that once we move into this space and we arrange it and we remodel it the way we want it or the way we need it so that we can operate efficiently there, I just had a visualization of me walking through the front door, and then there was a desk there, a counter for us to help customers from. And I walk through the front door, I see somebody at the counter, I take a right, I walk through this little hallway into the shop area, and I've got 3 or 4 guys back there, and they're laughing and have a good time, and as I'm walking to my office. And I remembered the feeling, I could just feel the electricity in the room. Like it was just hopping, we were doing things. And that was it, that was my little vision. Well, a few days later, the banker calls back, says, "Yeah, we can do it, let's go." So we wound up buying that building. And about a year later, I had the exact experience that I had envisioned. I walked through that front door. Brooke, I think, she helped me, one of my CSRs. She was helping somebody at the front counter. Or it could have been somebody else. I don't remember exactly. But this happened. Like I walked through the front door, and then I took a right, and I went through this little hallway, went out because I was going to my office because the office was connected to the shop area. And there's people out back, and they're talking and laughing, they're loading equipment or arranging, organizing the shop, and you could just feel the electricity in the room, like it was alive. So it actually happened. So my challenge to you is, if you don't have this book, or if you haven't read this book, E Squared by Pam Grout, or Pam Grout, however you say your name, Pam. Pam is actually from Kansas. I'm from Kansas too. So try this little experiment, the law of attraction experiment, just so you can kind of understand and prove it to yourself that your thoughts are out there working for you. Your mind is a goal-seeking organism. When you put your thoughts and attention on the stuff that you want, it's trying to find ways to help you get it. So I'll leave you with that. The world's plotting to help you win. It's not against you, it's for you. Go get it. This is your moment. I'll talk to you on the next one.